Hello. Yes, it is the weekend. Not just any weekend. It is the first weekend in February. And so now I get to rock the flannel pajamas. See? They match. So, yes, it's a tradition that I started way back in the day when I first started making videos, where all throughout the month of February, every weekend video in February, I will be wearing flannel pajamas in honor of Flannel February. In honor of a friend who, I don't know if he actually does his charity work for Flannel February anymore, but I'm still going to keep it up anyway because I like wearing these pajamas. It's a shame I'm only going to be wearing these in 8 videos this year, but what can you do? Although it will be a nice little segue before we get into one of my favorite months next month, but we'll get to that when we get to that. So, let's start with my low, my high, my act of kindness. My low is the fact that not only was it cold, it also snowed a lot. I mean, there was a whole bunch of traffic. It got really bad. I mean, everyone had to drive slow. I mean, I'm fine, of course, but it was still really, really, really bad. My high was I did get to spend the day with my father. And, spoiler alert, I'm going to be spending the day with him a lot today because it's his birthday today. This video will be dedicated to him. I'll get to that momentarily. And my act of kindness was, just in case the weather was bad yesterday, and it would be so bad that it would be bad today, I decided I'd give him his card and his birthday gift immediately. I gave him his birthday card, and I gave him a bag of peanut M&Ms. He really likes peanut M&Ms. So, with that said, good morning. Happy Saturday, everyone. So, if you couldn't tell, yesterday's video did get a little bit rushed. Not rushed, but I did talk about a lot more than normally I would have. Because normally I would have talked about Hot Ones and then the Go Big Show, and that would have been it. But I really wanted to make enough to talk about Kid Cosmic too, because I did want to give Kid Cosmic S tier, which is what I wound up doing. But also, with the fact that today is my dad's birthday, I thought I would make this video all about him. Now, as per usual, I never name names so as not to embarrass or offend anyone. But I will definitely say some interesting facts about him, as well as other stuff that may be funny or not funny. Let's see, or some. I'm gonna see if I can name 10 facts about my father, because I know my father very, very well. In fact, I can tell you right now, I can name more than 10 for sure, but I think 10 is an appropriate length of number of things to mention about my father. Let's see. Would getting his bachelor's degree and getting his master's degree count as 2 separate things? Because if that's the case, then I can tell you that he got his bachelor's from the Albany School of Business, and he got his master's in business from Syracuse University. And bonus fact, when my father graduated from Syracuse University, everyone was in the Carrier Dome, the stadium where Syracuse plays football. President Bill Clinton, actually I think it was former President Bill Clinton. Former President Bill Clinton was the one who spoke at the ceremony. That's pretty cool. Full disclosure, Clinton's political beliefs are different from my father's, but if that was come on, a former president got to speak at your graduation. How cool is that, right? So you know what? I think a fun fact, the first fun fact, at my father's graduation from Syracuse, Bill Clinton got to speak, which is really cool. Let's see. Another fun fact. You know what? His favorite band. My father has a lot of favorite bands. The Who, The Doors, Who, another famous classic rock bands. But my father will easily tell you that, and this is the second fact, his favorite band, the Beatles. Yeah, he's a Beatles fan, which I'm not gonna lie, the Beatles is really cool. I like the Beatles. Let's see. You know what? Here's a third fact, and it's how he met my mom. Yeah. And it's really funny because, sorry, I had a little bit of phlegm there, I'm sorry. So, there used to be this one club that people would hang out at called Lando's. It was in the city of Corning. And everyone would go there a lot. Obviously, my father went there a lot. And it was one evening, he was actually leaving for the night, and then he saw her. And that her would ultimately be my mom. And my mom was just going in for the night. Or just walked in. My father was just about to leave. She was about to walk in. But my father thought that she was so pretty, he walked right back into Lando's. And the rest is history. So, yeah. That's how we met my mom. That's really cool. A fourth fact, his all-time favorite movie, believe it or not. I mean, when you think of people of my father's generation, you know, they're kind of macho guys, you know, manly sort of thing or whatever, you would think it would be a movie as classical and timeless as The Godfather, which my father does love that movie. But believe it or not, his all-time favorite movie is The Quiet Man, starring John Wayne. Yep. It's The Quiet Man, which I've only seen bits and pieces of. I mean, it does look good. Maybe one day I'll probably watch the thing wholesale with him from beginning to end. Let's see. A fifth fact. How about his all-time favorite sitcom? Because whenever I'm with my father and we're watching TV together, there's always two shows where if they're on, he'll immediately sit down and watch, even if it's something that he's seen dozens of times at this point. Now, honestly, this is kind of like a tie, because there really is one more from his generation, per se, and one that really came to be more of, you know, my generation, you know, the 80s and 90s. So, if we're talking about his favorite sitcom from his generation growing up, it would be The Andy Griffith Show. If we're talking about his favorite show, essentially of my generation, his favorite sitcom, it would, believe it or not, be Seinfeld. So, let's see, I talked about who spoke at his master's graduation. I talked about his favorite movie, his favorite band, his favorite sitcom, how he met my mom. That's 5. Let's see. What's another fun fact for you? Itch my arm, excuse me. I think here's a 6th fun fact for you. My father would do a lot of stuff with my grandfather a lot when he came to like housework and doing stuff around the house or at the cottage up at Cuca Lake. And this is a story, I think, honestly, because my father is, you know, sort of scared my grandfather lots of times in the past, which actually will lead into another fact I'll get into a little bit later. But they went up to Cuca Lake during the winter one time, and the lake was completely frozen. And my grandfather had to do some work in the boathouse. Now, my father had never walked on the ice before. So this was a brand new experience for him. and he walked on it, and he walked on the ice just like you would walk anywhere. I mean, it was clearly 2 inches thicker, thicker. So he was perfectly safe. But he goes around to the back of the boathouse, obviously where the boat would come out in the water. He says, "Hi, Dad." My grandfather looks around like, "What are you doing?" Basically, that's the story. That's my father's favorite story of how he scared my grandfather. Although a close second is when he rolled a firecracker down the little hill where my grandfather was at. The firecracker rolled right behind him, and then it exploded and scared the bejeepers out of him. That was funny. Let's see. What's another really interesting fact about my father? How about the sports he played? Because, he played football and wrestling, and he played goalie and lacrosse as well. But my father was actually a very great wrestler. In fact, even though he's never really, you know what? He's never said this out loud, but based on what I've heard and what I could probably gather, I think I could probably tell you that the 7th fact about him is his greatest overall athletic achievement, which is he won the Spencer Van Etten Wrestling Christmas Tournament not once, but twice in a row. I think he might have actually won the very first 2, back to back. So, there you go. His overall greatest athletic achievement. I mean, listen, I wrestled too, and trust me, anyone will tell you wrestling's hard. An 8th fun fact. Well, what would be an 8th fun fact about him? I really could come with a lot of things. How about the fact that he's the reason why I'm a Cowboys fan? Now, you guys all know, and I told this story before, but it bears repeating. In the 90s, the Cowboys were everything. Like, they were in the middle of a dynasty and whatever. And my father, obviously with his favorite team being the Dallas Cowboys, he was as happy as a clam or whatever, right? He always say, "How about them Cowboys?" which is where I was exposed to that. And needless to say, as a kid, I mean, all kids are going to be annoyed by what their parents do. We've all been there. So naturally, when I found out that there was a team called the Green Bay Packers, because remember, green at the time was my favorite color, naturally I started rooting for them. But, because I've been fans of several teams a lot over the years. I mean, the Packers, because of the bet that technically I lost, I had to be a fan of the Broncos, the Seahawks, stuff like that. But the Cowboys were always there. So you know what? I think the reason why, here's the 8th fun fact. The 8th fact is why I think my father is a true Cowboys fan. Outside of the fact that growing up, living in New York, the Giants were bad. The Jets really weren't very good. And the Bills had O.J. Simpson and Rob Ferguson. But the Cowboys were always there. There's just this one, they are the sports entity that honestly, when most people think of the word sports and professional sports, don't be surprised to think of the Dallas Cowboys. And I think that's why my father really likes them. Just the impact that they've had, Here's a 9th fun fact for you. I'll never forget this. But obviously, I spurred out my brother's name accidentally before. My brother's name is Harold, but it's really Hal. And obviously, as a Catholic family, my father would always make fun of my brother by singing Hallelujah, 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 Hallelujah. And then my brother, being the petty person that he is, he's like, why don't you do it to Nick? He's like, yeah, I will that to Nick. Nick-a-looyah, Nick-a-looyah, Nick-a-looyah. So, yes. The ninth fun fact is easily the most classic way my father would make fun of my brother and I, is essentially using our first name, then Alleluia. So there you go. And now the 10th fun fact, and the best part I was going to get into, and that is the greatest prank he would play on both my brother and myself. So, growing up, obviously when you have a guy as big and kind of burly as my dad, it's a little bit intimidating. And needless to say, growing up, my brother and I always were kind of jumpy. Around, I want to say before the age of somewhere between the age of 9 and 13, we got in the habit of scaring each other. Like, hi! And then scaring everybody, right? My father became a veritable master at that. Let me tell you something. I would just be sitting in my room, watching TV. My father would slowly open the door. Hi, Nick! It would make me jump every time. Now, eventually, I did start getting good and expecting. I had to really listen carefully for him to come. Because my father is the kind of big guy. And, I hear a slight creak in, the floor or whatever. That's obviously him coming. And obviously, I hear the door open very slightly. I could sort of brace myself, thinking when he goes up, if he said, hi, Nick, I would stand completely still and not flinch. Because I would hear him coming. But this is when he started getting creative. Because he would do that after I would get out of the bathroom. Just stand right behind the door. I open the door, he's there, hi, Nick. And there was one time he got me. He made me jump, and my hand hit the doorknob. And that hurt like a son of a gun. Oh, that got me really good. Now, eventually, it's got me laughing so hard I got tears in my eyes, I'm sorry. Now, eventually, I started getting wise to that as well. Because there was one time where I knew he was staying behind the door. And I know he's going to do it when I open the door. So if I make the sound of turning the doorknob, but I don't open the door. So I turn the doorknob, don't open the door. He gave himself away right away. Technically, yeah, I did jump, but he didn't know if I did or not. So there you go. Now you're probably wondering, did I ever get my father back? Yeah, I did a couple of times, for sure. But there was one time where he did it to me 3 times in the span of an hour. It felt like that anyway. So I'm okay, I gotta find a way to get this guy back. So I headed over to the family room where he was. And the door was open. There's no way he could have seen me coming. I'm like, okay, I'm going to get this guy. I'm going to get him really good. I walk slowly up to the door. Thinking, oh, I'm going to get him. I'm going to get him. And then I'm like, he wasn't there. It turns out he was right behind me and he got me right back. Oh, dear me. I ate a slice of humble pie that evening, let me tell you what, right now. So, yeah, those are 10 facts about my father in honor of him and his birthday. Happy birthday, Dad. Like, favorite, share, the subscribe button, follow me on the social platforms on YouTube. I'm very home. This video for all of you guys who are watching. Enjoy every day. It will be a wonderful, wonderful Saturday. Remember, you can want to talk to me. We'll be here to lend you. Always hear you back. Take care and make good choices. See ya.